Can the government turn you gay? Is Chobani importing rapists? Today, we're going over part 1 of Alex Jones, the host of the radio show InfoWars. Find out how to make millions on others' fear on this week's episode of Well, That's Horrible. Well, that's horrible. Welcome back to this week's episode of Well, That's Horrible. I am Reese, and not Travis.
Oh,
but
hey.
I think you are.
I might be.
We like to talk about horrible shit, record it, and then post it online. But before we get into that, I think we need to tackle the tough questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Unprofessional opinion. All right, are you set? Okay. What is your funniest talent or untalent?
My funniest talent is, I learned this from Paul Rudd.
Okay.
But if you take your finger and bend it, and then put your other finger just right there, just like that, and put it over a camera lens, you can make it look like whoever you're taking a picture of has a man's ass and balls on their forehead. So, I mean, at home, you can try it. Just bend your finger, put your middle finger just slightly behind it, and then close one eye and look through it, and it looks like an asshole and some balls dangling. So, you know.
Now you know.
Now it's you can have that skill.
I'll pass that on for generations to come.
Yes, absolutely. It's a heirloom.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank Paul Rudd.
See, mine, I would have to say, is my impersonation of Louis Armstrong. So I feel like we probably need a rendition of that. It goes a little something like this. Well, I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Yeah. How's having that cold going?
Oh, not great. Not great. I am going to attempt numerous voices today, and it is going to destroy my throat. All right.
Just like your last grinder date.
I told you, in confidence. All right. So, assuming our listeners have passed out from my amazing singing, I think I should probably tell a horrible story. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it.
All aboard!
Alex Jones is born in 1974 in Dallas, Texas. His dad is a dentist and his mom is a homemaker. He claims that his ancestry is Irish, German, Welsh, English, and, of course, Comanche. I feel like every single white person out there claims to be at least some percentage of Native American. Okay, what is that supposed to gain you?
I don't.
What is
some
the advantage there?
Like, oh no, I'm native, so I'm from here.
Right.
One person.
Right. Back about
ancestry.
42 generations ago.
Right. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, I'm just too aggressively white to claim that I have anything else in me.
Anything.
Like, yeah, no, I
You were made in a Wonder Bread factory.
absolutely. Yeah.
You're like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Same physique.
And same
Same
noise
genitals.
when you get poked in the stomach.
Yep. Well, maybe not my stomach, but poke me somewhere.
Otherwhere. Otherwhere? We'll go with it. Otherwhere.
Otherwhere.
Now, I do want to clarify at the beginning of this that I'm not saying that all conspiracy theories are wrong. Our government has for sure done some shady shit. I don't think that politicians have our best interest at heart. And just because something is an unpopular opinion doesn't make it wrong. But when these theories really start to be harmful to others, that's when you have an issue. Mm-hmm. So in high school, Alex reads a book called None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen. It goes way off the deep end, presenting evidence that Gary believed global bankers controlled American politics rather than elected officials. A lot of people believe that people in this demographic use terms like global elites and world bankers as safer placeholders for just being anti-Semitic.
Oh, yeah.
Which, on an interesting side note, this is going to be another ADHD rant. But do you know how the whole conspiracy about the Jewish people being involved with banking came about?
No.
So, way, way back in the day, it was determined that there are some verses in the Bible that talk about you can't charge your neighbor interest. So all of the Christians were like, okay, well then apparently we can't loan money out. So they wouldn't allow Jewish people to have any other job other than the ones they didn't want. Mm-hmm. And one of those was banking. And so the Jewish people were like, okay, fine. And so they started opening up the banking industry, and apparently they were like, okay, fuck it. If you're going to make us do this, we're going to make money at it.
Right.
And then centuries later, the same white people were like, what? What? They're controlling all of banking. How could this have happened? They're clearly terrible people. So that was the whole beginning of it. They were told that was the only job they could have, and then were vilified for it.
Yeah, dumb shit.
So anyway, the Waco siege at the Branch Davidian complex happens during Alex's senior year of high school. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, these events only, quote, confirmed his belief in the inexorable progress of unseen malevolent forces. He also gets involved in the John Birch Society, which is a group formed in 1958 that is anti-communist, supports social conservatism, and is associated with ultra-conservative, radical right, and far-right ideas. Fred Koch was actually one of the founding members. Alex claims that his parents raised him to be apolitical so he would come to his own conclusions. But if you're dropped into a group like that, you're definitely not sitting in the middle aisle. Here's a quote from him about his high school years. And I'm going to try an Alex Jones voice, but it's going to wreck my voice. When I was 16, I didn't want to party anymore. I didn't want to play games anymore. I grew up. I'd already been in fights, all the big rituals. I'd already had probably, I hate to brag, but I'm not bragging, it's actually shameful. Probably 150 women or more. That's conservative. He also adds, I'd already had over 150 women. I'd already been in fights with full-grown men. I was already dating college girls by the time I was 15 years old. I was already a man at 16.
You just didn't know her. She lives in Niagara Falls. Yeah.
She goes to a different school. Do you think that Alex knows that his hand doesn't count?
Right.
When he reveals this fact about himself, he says that the cabal is trying to reduce the global population and that from a biological standpoint, everyone should be having kids by 16.
Jesus.
That's how,
not problematic.
No,
like,
not
how
at all.
is that not a bigger fucking headline?
Right.
Like, Alex Jones supports pedophilia. Like, everybody having kids at 16?
Everybody.
That's illegal.
Biologically.
Yeah.
We need to have kids at 16.
Jesus. I mean, and I say this as somebody who had a kid at 17.
You waited. You're behind the curve. You could just feel your fertility waning,
right?
And decided, nope, we got to go for this.
No, I'm hyper fertile. Or was. I got the old snip, but there's no hyper fertility. Fucking, it's a thing.
You're just smooth like a Ken doll down there now.
Yep. Yeah, just got it all removed.
The doctor sneezed and took everything off.
I mean, it doesn't require much hand movement to remove it all. I mean, really, you can't blame him.
Just had a little, just. twitch, and it's gone.
Exactly.
It's like pulling off a hangnail from your thumb.
I thought I had a pube once, but I cut it and it bled.
So, having kids at 16, that's how we fight for the resistance. Anyway, Alex plays football in high school and graduates in 1993. He attends Austin Community College for a short stint, but then drops out. Alex claims that he didn't smoke pot because it makes him paranoid. Holy shit. I can't believe what Alex Jones would come up with if he was paranoid. More paranoid. There's no way. I suppose it could be crazier than what he comes up with now, but that would not be easy to accomplish.
Yeah, that's what's higher than Everest.
Right. He's in the
holy
stratosphere.
All right.
So he claims this and then turns around and says that he smokes weed once a year to monitor its strength because he believes that the global elites are making weed stronger to control the populace.
I mean, maybe.
Well, okay. So that was my view. From what I've heard, it is stronger than it used to be back in the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's stronger now. I would wager that it has way more to do with just science-oriented potheads wanting stronger weed than it does with the global elites trying to take anyone over.
Yeah, I remember, like, how big, like, the cannabis cup was. Like, when I was growing up, when I was, like, a teenager, like, everybody knew which strain won. Well, at least all the people I hung out with. So
Having been homeschooled, that was not a large topic of discussion at the dinner table.
Right, we had
Or
very
with my
different
fellow
childhoods.
soccer friends.
Yeah, no, as I was skateboarding at the gas station, we would, go in and shoplift the high times. And
Was this before or after you carved Hate Life into your knuckles?
Oh yeah, no, this was during that time. That's
Okay,
the same
smack dab in
time
the
period. I did it for like a year. I mean, yeah, and you can still see it pretty good. It's still there. Hate Life carved into my knuckles because I was that cool. Also, at the
So
time,
hard.
my mohawk, I had it. It was pretty long. It was about maybe 8 or 9 inches at that time. It was bright green. That was until it's been over 7 years, so I'm going to tell the story. I was at a house party, and we were there for some event that was in town, and we didn't even know these people. Like, we were there, 15 minutes, and we all had just cracked open our first beer, and it was like me and my group of friends, and for one, the door was just a piece of plywood to this trailer house.
Okay, classy.
So it didn't have a hole or anything, didn't latch or anything, just a piece of plywood. And we're just going in there. We knew a friend of a friend who invited us to this random trailer party. And then we're sitting there, and I'm just about to light up a bowl, and cop just walks in. And not just one. It was like 4 or 5 cops walk in. Apparently, they got news of a party going on, and it was a big event in town.
Okay.
So there's just cops everywhere. They had brought in cops from other departments, from other towns for this event.
Oh, no.
And I am sitting right next to the front door, and I have my buddy next to me who has one leg. So he's not going anywhere.
Right.
At this point, I decide every man for himself.
He might be able to hop really fast.
I mean, he got moving, but, there was a lot of cops.
Right.
So I stand up, and cops are like, "Hey, where are you going?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to the bathroom. This seems like it's going to take a while." And he's like, "All right, that's fine. No idea why you let me go." So I go, and I run to this bedroom, and I see this little window, and it's only probably a foot by 2 feet.
Okay.
And at this time, I was 127 pounds. Super skinny.
Wow.
And about the same height I am now, so about a little under 6 foot.
Yeah.
So I dive through this window, open it, it was up top too, it was a high one. So I dive through this window, and there's a fucking cop already there. I catch the window seal. I have no idea how I did this. Catch the window seal as I'm going through it.
Yeah.
And land on my feet after diving through this window.
Okay.
Like some fucking Jason Bourne type shit. Never do it again if I tried. And I start running, and cops at the other end of the trailer turn around, fuck that, start running the other way. And there's more cops, and they're right by the door, and there's this fence that's about 4 feet high, and I just fucking vault it like an Olympic hurdler and just start running. And I fucking just take off, leaving multiple friends behind you.
So in other words, I should never get in trouble with you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. You know, when it's cops,
Right.
you just go. And I had stashed like my pot and my pipe in the couch of this random trailer. Fucking take off. And I end up, there's a random fucking just semi-trailer, just like in this field. I crank it open, go in there, and I fucking hold it shut. So it's like a bar on the inside, and I'm fucking on it. So they like try to open it. They don't know if I've gone in there. So they check to see if it's locked. I'm fucking standing on it. They're like, oh, okay. And they go. I wait like half an hour and then run some more, and then I have my buddy come from out of town, come pick me up. I go to Missoula because I live down the valley.
Okay.
So I come to the bigger city, shave my mohawk off because it was bright green, and then so like hid out at my sister's house for like 2 weeks during this because it was summer vacation.
Yeah.
And then I finally come home, and about a week after I'm home, the cop that would first come through the door comes to my house and was like, hey, I know you were at that house party. And my dad was like, oh no, he was home that whole night. He's like, nope, I can verify it. He was with me. Like total fucking G move.
10 toes down.
But the cop was like, I know.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I haven't had a mohawk in a while. You must have heard wrong because I used to have one. And like, legit, there's probably still dye on my head at this point. And I have an obviously freshly shaved fucking head. I was like, no, this is how it's always been.
As you know, Mr. Officer, it is physically impossible to remove a mohawk. And you can see, I don't have one.
Yeah, my hair's not even green because I don't have any hair. I have roughly a week's worth of growth.
How did that happen?
So,
oh, Lord.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the type of shit we were getting up to.
Oh, man. That's fantastic. With all of 3 pages of college textbook knowledge under his belt, Alex sets off into the world. He starts to host a call-in show on public access television in Austin, Texas. It's now 1995 with the Oklahoma City bombing on everyone's minds, and Alex comes out with the theory that Timothy McVeigh wasn't actually responsible for the bombing. In fact, Jones goes so far as to organize a successful campaign to rebuild a new Branch Davidian church. In 1996, Jones makes the switch from TV to radio. He hosts a show called The Final Edition. He begins to broadcast about the New World Order conspiracy theory running around. His dentist dad was the one that got him the gig and was actually the first to buy ad spots on his show.
Oh, what a supportive father. It's so good to hear. Really supported his child's dream so much.
It would be much more heartwarming if it didn't go the way that it does.
I mean, either you have really unsupportive parents and you turn into Hitler, or you have super supportive parents and you turn into Alex Jones. So
you need to be right in the middle.
way.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, you just got to have the right amount of neglect. The right amount of abuse to make you funny. My parents probably should have hit me some more.
Apparently, there is a local group of pranksters that call themselves Anathema Enterprises. They call in all the time to Alex's show just to fuck with him, screaming things like, die, 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 or calling him Jarhead Jones. Apparently, that nickname specifically sends him into a blind rage every time, and he lunges for the call button to cut them off. The group is led by Clayton Counts. I'll give you one guess on his nickname. And this is not a joke.
Okay. Clayton Clowns?
Space Hitler.
Space Hitler, okay. God, I wasn't guessing that one. I was
Come
like,
on.
is there a hint here? No, Space
Nope,
Hitler.
Space Hitler. In 1997, Jones hosts an open house at the radio station for fans to stop in and chat. But no actual fans show up, only the hecklers. He recognizes Space Hitler's voice and starts screaming at the guy. It's all a strictly verbal altercation until one of the hecklers mumbles one word, jarhead. Alex screams, "Do you want to step outside?" They go outside. Alex locks the door to the station, walks over to his car, grabs something from under the seat, and shoves it into his waistband. He then walks over to the guy, who was being an absolute meanie head, and screams, "This is my place of business. I have a gun. I can shoot you. You are threatening me at my place of business. I can hold my ground here."
What a snowflake.
Yeah, they called him a meanie name.
They
and
said
he
the
flies
mean
out-
words.
They said the mean words, and he flies off the handle and claims he has a gun.
All right, fucking bitch move.
The guy
What a
did-
hood. What a thug.
Thug. Such a thug. The guy takes a step back, which emboldens Alex. Alex puffs up his chest and continues to threaten the guy. Finally, the guy just yells, "You know what? Fucking just shoot me then," and pops Alex in the face. Alex is stunned enough that the guy gets another good hit in before he starts to fight back. One bystander was quoted as saying, "Alex starts hitting back, and it's like he's just throwing his hands straight forward. It's super inept." But not only was this scrappy little dude kicking Alex's ass, but he's also shit-talking to him between punches with things like, "Oh, you're a professional fighter? Pop! Oh, you do this for a living? Pop!" This guy gets 8 to 10 really solid hits on Alex's face. When it finally comes, and what makes that even better is Alex is very excited about his physique and his ability to handle himself.
Right.
In fact, I went through so many quotes of his, but I heard one of his quotes, and he goes, he's talking about himself, and he goes, "Combat model, optimum self-sufficiency, probably the best." When it finally comes to filing a police report, Alex changes the story from 3 people to 4 to 5, quote, "counterculture Generation X types," and claims that Space Hitler, quote, "had a double-edged military-type killing knife. He is very strange looking. He has eyes that look like a goat. He has pasty white skin. He has pasty white-green skin. I am in fear of losing my life."
Jesus.
But you know who isn't afraid of a goat man with a killing knife? Nick Nolte. "Does your grandma use that knife to cut butter? Does she take it to her fancy church picnics? I swallowed a few chunks of iron last week and shit out a better knife than you have right there." Alex's daddy shows up and offers everyone involved $100 to not press charges. Man, back in the day when you could bribe people with $100.
Right. Inflation.
Thanks, Obama. This job lasts for about 3 years when he is fired from the radio station because he's unwilling to discuss topics other than conspiracy theories. He was quoted as saying, "It was purely political, and it came down from on high. I was told 11 weeks ago to lay off Bill Clinton, to lay off all these politicians, to not talk about rebuilding the church, to stop bashing the Marines, A to Z." These guys that push all these conspiracy theories always start out with a sentence that has something reasonable, and then they just go from reasonable to way off the deep end because they're expecting people to just follow them along the road to insanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, sure. Okay, politicians need bashing. That's deserved. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes literally.
Exactly. Talking on public radio about rebuilding a church normally wouldn't be problematic. When it's involved with the Waco, Texas massacre, I can see how that would be a little more controversial on the radio.
But it started so early. Like, dude's fucking...
Yeah.
cold-blooded.
Oh, yeah.
He's just a massive narcissist.
He absolutely is. In fact, it gets more specific about that, too. But then he goes to bashing the Marines. And
Right.
there aren't many things you can do. Well, now there are a lot of things you can do to get yourself canceled. But back then, there weren't many things other than insulting the armed forces.
Right.
That was really the one thing that America at large would just, nope, you're out.
Yeah, like Jane Fonda. Like,
Yeah.
I fucking love Jane Fonda.
Right.
Her and Dolly Parton, Buddy Ryan.
Yep, absolutely.
I'd fuck all of them. Even now.
Whatever you're into. Ask your wife to paint some creases on her face so she looks a little wrinkled, a little bit older. Yeah, but maybe let's not lump all of those topics together.
Right.
From sane to insane.
Right.
In 1999, Alex and his then-wife Kelly form a news website called InfoWars, which was only used to promote conspiracy theories. It starts out as a mail-order outlet for selling their conspiracy-oriented videos. Alex continues growing this company while still working in radio. After he gets fired from the Austin radio station, he starts to broadcast his own internet-based radio show from his home. By 2001, his radio show is syndicated on approximately 100 stations. Now we get to the turning point in the success of Alex's career. He decides to go with the Nostradamus shotgun method of making predictions. If you make enough predictions, some of them are bound to become true. And really, that's what happened with Nostradamus, too, is he just made a zillion vague predictions.
Right.
And people were able to dig through and find 3 or 4 that were like, if you squint and turn your head just right, this prediction fits this situation.
Right.
And now they think he's brilliant. Same thing that Alex did here. He was just throwing out conspiracy theories left and right. And if something stuck, then that's the only thing people paid attention to.
Right. Yeah. Broken clocks right twice a day.
We already discussed this, Travis, unless it's digital. He claims to have gotten information that indicates that the World Trade Center is going to be attacked. On the day of the 9/11 attacks, Jones says on his radio show that there was a, quote, 98% chance this was a government-orchestrated controlled bombing. And, okay, now, I don't want to get into the conspiracy theory weeds here. Like, that could be a whole different show of just discussing some conspiracy theories.
But jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
I know. And honestly, my curiosity makes me want to dig into that more. But, so I know that we could be stuck there for a little while. But I would definitely make the argument that he couldn't have had anywhere near enough evidence. He made the claim the same day on 9/11.
That's wild.
So it would be a different thing if, like, a few weeks later he was like, "Oh, I got this information that tells me that." Okay, at least I'll hear someone out. Same day, he was just, that he was excited that something had lined up with one of his predictions.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is where Jones discovers that if he can be loud enough with insanely controversial statements, he will get more attention for better or worse. He was the epitome of no press is bad press. That's just how he rolled. It must have worked because by 2010, Jones has over 2 million listeners per week. How do we get there?
Yeah.
We'll just have to start coming out with insane conspiracy theories. Because of his statement about 9/11, several stations drop Jones. He becomes one of the leading figures in the 9/11 truther movement. He also becomes aware of the fact that the more controversial his statements, the more press he gets. And the more press he gets, the more he can sell his products. Oh, did I forget to mention that he started selling products much like the ShamWow guy? Except, as far as I know, Alex hasn't punched a sex worker in an alley.
Yeah, or
To the best of my knowledge,
to the best. I mean, it's possible.
it's entirely
At
possible.
this point, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, that would not be out of left field for him. Starting in 2015, he starts to peddle nutritional supplements that claimed to give you better health to survive the apocalypse, as well as survival gear. From a purely pragmatic standpoint, though, you at least have to admit that this is a brilliant business plan. Convince millions of people that everything is mere minutes away from collapse, get them terrified and pissed off, and then offer them products that solve all their problems. It's very unethical, but brilliant as far as business goes. I actually found out that BuzzFeed bought a bunch of his supplements and sent them to a lab to be tested. There was nothing unsafe in them, but they for sure are only made up of the exact same vitamins and minerals in the bottles on the shelf at Walmart.
Nice.
I take the supplements, and that's exactly why I'm built like Arnold Schwarzenegger circa 1987. One of his biggest sellers is iodine tablets, which he calls Survival Shield. He goes on for an hour about how the global elites are poisoning the water. Then he implies scarcity by saying things like, "We've just restocked this." A reporter sends these iodine tablets into a lab as well, and they determined that they have significantly lower levels of iodine than anything you can buy off the shelf.
This shitty product remarketed.
Has twice the recommended daily ingestion of lead.
Oh, God.
And cost 10 times as much as the iodine that actually has iodine in it.
The people buying these types of products from Alex Jones are the people that need more lead in their diet the least. Like, they are already, like, bottom of the barrel for intelligence.
It's not going to get...
For the most part, you know, some of them are probably schizophrenic. But
those
other
ones
than
can't help
that, they're probably pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, they got to be dumber. And they'll keep listening.
Let's give them all the lead. Tastes like mint.
It's why the government put fluoride in your water.
Oh,
Keep you dumb.
That's another one. I don't remember if I have this later on in the script. I did so much research for this episode, but he also has fluoride-free toothpaste that is $14 a tube.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's like fucking Whole Foods.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that outrageous. Like, that is what you'd probably see at fucking Whole Foods or some
it
shit.
Really
But
is. That's true. Now, listen, folks. I'm as iodine deficient as the next guy, but don't take any chances. Check out our online store now for our Super Extra Life Protector, which is our line of iodine-free iodine tablets, guaranteed to not have a single grain of iodine. The global elites want your body to be at least 97% iodine-free. You'll notice, by the way, that thing that I threw in there, all of these stats that he throws out, if he wants to say that he's completely certain about something, he says that it's like 98%, because then he leaves himself some leeway. So inevitably, when it turns out to be wrong, he can say, well, I didn't say that it was actually completely certain, just mostly.
fucking snake oil salesman. Modern day.
Well, and that's a psychology tactic too, that if you throw enough stats at people, they are much more likely to believe what you're saying because it seems like you've done your research.
I mean, I have to think back about how much you throw stats around at work.
That's beside the point. 99% of the time, my stats are accurate. I do throw a lot of stats around, don't I? But do you trust me?
I do.
Okay.
Implicitly.
Implicitly?
Implicit.
Is that the word you're going for?
I think so.
Like completely?
Fucking too.
Yeah, implicitly.
Implicitly, yeah.
While we're on the subject, let's talk a little bit more about other products that he carries. He's got things like prostate pills, which I was really disappointed to find out that they don't go up the bum chute.
No, they don't go in the old prison wallet.
No, they don't go in the old prison wallet. He has something called Male Vitality, bulletproof vests, industrial water filtration, Patriot seeds, which I assume that's what Alex calls his splooge. Patriot seeds. And nanny cams.
Why nanny cams?
Well, because you need to know if the government is sneaking into your home.
I guess.
Of course. There's one section that I was super curious about called, quote, nuclear and biological. The main picture on the menu shows what looks like a compact gas mask. I click on the link, and there's only one product. Guess what it was?
What's that?
A cloth face mask with the InfoWars logo on it. Whoa, I just smacked my microphone super hard. But it was the InfoWars logo on a face mask. Nothing screams, I'm only here for the money, like the guy that was super anti-mask.
Right.
And the only product in his anti-biological warfare section is a cloth mask.
Right. Fucking.
You don't need to look any further than that to figure out his intentions.
Right. He's just after the money.
Yep. In fact, quite a few of his staffers report that he was worried that if a Republican was in office, the far-right panic would die down and he would lose money. So a huge percentage of them actually think that he voted for Obama. When the Fukushima disaster happens, he tells his employees to buy up all the iodine they can get their hands on, and he sells all of it. He also likes to claim FDA approval, but what he actually says, I listened to the show and I heard him mention this. He always says, these things are made in an FDA approved facility. So to clarify, the product itself is not FDA approved. It's just in a facility that has been certified by the FDA. So reading through the descriptions of some of these things, like his DNA Shield product, I've never seen more may protect froms and may potentially be affected bys in one place at the same time. His lawyers had to have had a field day trying to make those statements vague enough that they wouldn't get sued. The way he continues to grow is that he actually doesn't charge any of the radio stations for playing his 4-hour daily show. So I hate the fact that despite him being a horrible human being, I can't help but have some level of respect for his business genius. Because there are a few things that he did that kind of changed the industry, and he's become incredibly successful as a result of it.
Well, he did.
He was. He was.
We'll see how things go.
Yeah. So because he doesn't charge for any of his shows, more and more stations play his show because it's free programming, so they don't have to pay for it. So his show is going everywhere. So essentially, he gets to broadcast a 4-hour-long infomercial every single day for free. He doesn't have to pay for it. So he's making all of his money just off of the products that he's selling. In fact, within 3 years, InfoWars has pulled in $165 million from the online store alone.
Goddamn.
His income goes from $5 million before his supplement store to $20 million. Alex is also great at creating a tribalist mentality by saying things like, if you're watching this transmission, you know damn well you're part of the resistance.
Right.
He also isn't shy at all about asking for financial support from his listeners. He holds what he calls money bomb campaigns, where he broadcasts for as long as 36 hours straight, asking people to call in with donations to, quote, support the resistance.
Just imagine how much coke it takes him to broadcast that long. How many coke breaks does he take?
So many. So many.
The dude is a walking 8-ball.
An 8-ball in human form.
I mean, mostly in ball-shaped form, but he's still...
One staff member reports that she quit her job there when someone called to give support, and they had to put the donation on a credit card because their house had been foreclosed.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's how committed. That's how committed these listeners are to him. And to clarify, this is already a for-profit business. So this is not a nonprofit. They are very much out there to make money. and they can do call drives to earn more money when they just feel like it. I'm telling you, we don't have nearly enough control over our listeners.
No,
Not
we don't.
nearly enough. I need to figure out how to be more manipulative. But people are so committed to it that all he has to do is ask for the money and they come through. How do we get our listeners to do that? I'm going to get real serious here. Listener, if you're listening to this transmission of horrible stories, then you know damn well that you have a sick sense of humor. Give us money, or the Illuminati win. Well, folks, this wraps up the rise of Alex Jones. Next week, we'll be going over the fall of Alex Jones. But I think what we really need to finish this off is some good news. What you got for you, TiVo?
Good news, everyone!
Well, that's not so horrible.
So this is for all the people that are super worried about the supervolcano.
Yeah, the one under Yellowstone?
The one under Yellowstone. This is, shout out coworker Keena. So they have been.
She worries about everything.
Yeah, she has COVID right now too. So
Monkeypox are coming for you.
But no, so this shout out. So they have been doing a lot of studies. Obviously, for those who don't know, if there's this giant volcano underneath Yellowstone, that's where a lot of that Old Faithful and a lot of that seismic activity and that magma, right?
Right.
Magma's in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Yes. Yes.
So, and it's huge. It's absolutely massive. If it erupts,
What is something you've never heard?
Nice. No. Now that I'm thrown off. So it's estimated that if it erupts, we're going to get bad news first. If it erupts, it's going to take out essentially everything within a few hundred miles. Like 1,000 miles.
We're in the blast zone, right?
Yeah, we're right on the cusp here in Missoula, which I mean, we're a 9-hour drive from Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think it's about that. And honestly, this is a big topic of conversation just for people in Montana in general because we're so close to Yellowstone. And it was honestly a little bit of a relief when I lived in Billings, which is a lot closer to Yellowstone. It was a relief knowing that my death would be almost instant when that erupted, because then I'd be gone. I'd be done, and I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore.
You'd be died.
But I'd be died. But living on the edge of the blast zone honestly makes me nervous, because then my thought is, I'm still going to die, just very slowly.
Right. Right. But good news on that.
Okay.
So they've been doing a lot of studies. They think that they have a way to release the pressure, some of the gas buildup, some of the pressure within the volcano slowly over time, and they think that they can get it to almost a 0% chance of eruption.
Whoa.
It's a 0 to 3% chance of eruption.
Are there incantations involved?
I guess. I mean, it's just like at the same time, this is either going to be great, saves us from the supervolcano.
Yeah.
Keena doesn't have to worry anymore.
She'll still worry.
Or it could be like, it's like that black hole that they were making like deep underground.
Yep.
Like, if that works, that's great. That's fucking cool as shit. But if it goes wrong, we're all dead.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing. So it could either be really good and really happy news for you, or it could be something that now you're worried that it's a conspiracy for the government to take out half of the United States when they want to. So just to tie into Alex Jones.
On that note, dear listener, we have just replaced all of our lava-resistant clothing in the Well That's Horrible online store. Please check it out. It is all made out of tinfoil. On the upside, once you're done using the clothing, you can reshape it into a hat.
Or swan.
Or a swan.
And keep your leftovers in there.
Place the swan on your head. This tinfoil clothing is running for only $387. Ladies and gentlemen, This clothing anywhere else would be $388. But today only, 2 days. I was about to say 2 days before Black Friday, and then I realized I'm way off on my timeline. A few days before Black Friday. Actually, no, I was just thinking release date. This is coming out 2 days... No, I'm still wrong. 2 days before Thanksgiving.
This is not going well for you.
It's not going well at all. Well, that wraps up
Just give up.
this week's episode. Oh, well, that's horrible. Please continue to listen. Please listen. Rate and subscribe. It really helps so we can keep growing. Join us next week when we go over the collapse of Alex Jones. Remember to make sure your iodine actually has iodine in it. And always remember to make the world a little less horrible.
Well, that's horrible.